Okay, so clearly I'm a glutton for punishment because having previously said I wasn't going to do any more 3 in a row phone call videos, I'm now going to tackle the videos from the 7th of June. It makes sense to do it that way because, as you know, each of the phone calls is a 15-minute block. That's all he's allowed, and then he has to wait a period of time and then call back. And of course, as you would have seen from the 1st of June ones, the conversation pretty much continues when they resume the phone calls. So we would get things out of context, I believe, were I to do just one video or to do just 2 videos. So it may be another long video, but it makes sense to do all 3 of them together. Before I jump in, I do apologise for losing my cool with the 1st of June phone calls when I did my video on that. It wasn't intentional. I was thoroughly shocked at some of the things I heard, and it just came out. I will do my best to be a little bit more respectful in this video and to control my language. That said, I've not been given any heads up as to what is contained in these 7th of June phone calls. I don't know what to expect, so I can't give 100% promise that I'm not going to lose my cool yet again. All I can do is say I will do my best. Now, I have cranked up the audio as much as I can on these phone calls, so I apologise if there is a difference between my audio and that audio. I'm doing my best. So, on that note, let's just jump in and see what was said in these 7th of June phone calls.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Stephen Stearns,
an inmate at
Osceola County Corrections Department.
To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking.
Hey,
Hey there.
is this a good time?
Yeah, I tried to get the call the first time and it just disconnected us, so I don't know.
When it goes to voicemail, it just auto refuses.
No, it didn't go to voicemail. I was trying to pick it up. So.
Okay. Are you at home?
Yes. Why?
Oh, I was just wondering if you were around, if both of you guys were there.
We're both here.
All right. So did you hear from my attorney yet?
Yes.
Okay, so you got the news then that they filed this morning to seek the death penalty.
Yeah.
How are you guys holding up?
Well, we're just waiting for this to play out. So,
Yeah.
Debbie, your mother said that you were officially charged with murder. I didn't know about seeking the death penalty. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, well, it was always a possibility. And the level they charge me at, obviously, if they seek it, there's a good chance that they can get it. So at 10 o'clock this morning, they officially filed for intent to seek death.
You know, he sounds like he's still in denial. It sounds like he's really, really pissed off with them. Like, how dare they do such a thing to him? I mean, it's not like he's, like, super angry yelling, but you can just hear that edge in his voice. And you can bet that what's going to come in this whole phone call is the 3 of them talking about how unfair it is, and him talking about how he's being made a scapegoat and they'll talk about Jen putting him up to all this, and, I think we know how this is going to go.
Well, it won't happen for a long time, according to your attorney, if at all. And from what we heard, your judge does not like the death penalty. He thinks it's too lenient, and he would rather have you in jail for the rest of your freaking life.
Okay, so it seems that at this point in time, Deb Stearns doesn't understand how the system works, because basically Judge Carston isn't the one who decides. It's the jury who make the decision as to whether or not the penalty is D or life. This is probably now, this makes sense as to why his lawyers have been filing all these motions to try and essentially take that decision away from the jury. Because they believe that if they can take the decision away from the jury, the Judge Carston is going to give him life instead. But it's interesting the way Deb's saying that, because it almost sounds like she thinks it would be preferable for him to go to the chamber. We'll have to listen and see how this progresses. Now, I will note something too. So far, it sounds like none of them are trying to say that this is unjustified. In this part of the conversation, it sounds like they are all accepting the fact that he's guilty. You don't hear anyone saying, well, we don't have to worry about that because your lawyer will be able to prove that you're innocent and get you off. They seem here to recognise that he's not coming out.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah,
I hate to say it, but I'd rather have you on death row because you're in more seclusion and you're not really with the bulk of the population of the people.
well, I hate to say it, but I'd rather be on death row too because I agree with them. It's a much easier way out.
Well, I think you're both going to get your wish. But you know what? I think even on death row, there's still a chance that they're going to get to you, Stefan. That the other inmates will find a way to get to you. Don't know. I would have to do a bit of research to see if there are cases of inmates who were on death row being got at by other prisoners. But you're not going to be that much safer. And as for the gutless comment by him, he'd rather be on death row because that's going to be easier. I'm pretty certain he's not going to be thinking that when it's his time. You know, there's so many clips that I'd love to put together into a playlist to play to him just before it's his turn.
Yep.
I'd rather,
And like she said, there'll be appeal after appeal after appeal, and
yeah, she said it could take up to 25 years for them to finally get around to executing me if I'm found guilty.
yeah, and by that time you might welcome it, but we won't be here to see it.
By that time, it's about all I've got in me to serve anyway, so
Yeah.
I'll see what the point is.
Now, it's my understanding, and please help me out here because, I'm not American, I don't understand the system fully, but it's my understanding that how long you are on that row waiting for the end, there's a lot of political stuff involved. So, yeah, there's been cases where people have been there for 25 years. But I think in recent times there's also been cases where people have gone pretty quickly too. correct me if I'm wrong, there's not any recent cases that I've followed, and I must admit I've not really, it's not something I've really delved into, so let me know about that one. Yeah, it's just interesting the way they are talking as if it is set in stone that he is guilty. And yet in their other conversations, it's all about him being fitted up, him taking the rap for other people, him being dragged into this by other people, there being a hope of him getting free. And yet here, they're talking about the practicalities of it and almost like they expect that that's where he's going to end up.
They said you were put,
Back in seclusion.
they said they put you back in seclusion?
Well, I've been in seclusion this whole time.
Well, that you're going to stay there or something? So I don't know. A lot of misinformation.
Yeah, well, I'm still in isolation, yes. I'm still in medical, although they moved me to a different cell here in medical, but this one has a bed at least, or I should say a platform to put my mat on. But, I'll be moved again because eventually they're going to need this cell back.
Again, he's making these claims of being in a cell without a bed. Well, maybe his definition of a bed is skewed, because I'm pretty certain that, especially for an inmate who has not yet been convicted, that no matter how scummy and pathetic they are, it would be considered a human rights infringement to expect them to sleep on the floor. So I think this is just something he's telling his parents to get a bit of sympathy. It's interesting that he is now saying that he's in the medical wing, which is basically meaning that he's in the observation area again. So is he basically being big Suki Lala boy and they feel that they need to watch him? Or is he milking it because it's a better sell or something? And yes, they're still going on about the books. I must admit, it is taking quite a long time. If she's bought them off Amazon, then obviously they would have got to the mail centre really, really quickly. I can't help wondering if maybe the people in the mail centre are reading the books first before they hand them over to him.
Because it's got a restraint.
Any word on the books?
No. Were you able to follow up with the mailroom on Monday?
Well, we tracked the order and it was delivered to Seminole, so we know it was delivered.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get a hold of anybody.
Oh, okay. You can't call the facility here and have to be transferred to the mailroom or something?
I don't know. They have a mailroom there. I guess I can call.
The mailroom is at a central distributing place.
Yeah, but they have to have a delivery. They have to have a delivery depot there to accept the mail.
I have to forward everything and send it to the proper people.
Yeah, I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine the conversation, them trying to ring the prison mailroom? Like, it's not some corporate business where you can ring up and say, I sent this 6 weeks ago and I know that it arrived in your mailroom, can you please check? I mean, they're not going to, ringing the mailroom isn't going to prompt them to be like, oh, we're so sorry, Mr. Stearns. Oh, and your son is in the penthouse suite, so we better give him top-notch service and we will go and find those books this instant and we will send a runner over to hand deliver them to him. I mean, what do these guys think is going to happen?
Okay. But,
all right.
So, yeah, I got the news earlier and told my attorney that I'd try to call you this evening, but you guys should hear it from her before you hear it from the news in case I can't get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting
I did it.
a little bit of blowback from that.
Yep, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of ruckus and some people getting riled up. And
I'm sure there's going to be a bit of blowback from that. Well, what do you expect? These people don't seem to acknowledge the actual reason why he's in there. The reason why he is up for the DP. They're more worried about their reputation.
I'm cooking ravioli that I gotta. Sorry, caught me in the middle of cooking here, so I'm gonna walk out to the kitchen.
no worries. I guess I took the news pretty well, though.
Okay, I get that no matter how evil and disgusting you are, to hear news like that would be upsetting. But oh my god, he's milking it. I don't know whether he's just not happy with the reaction from his parents and he wants more of a reaction from them, or whether he thinks this is just another thing in his life that his parents can somehow fix.
Well, okay, that's good.
I'm just remarkably calm about everything. I've had this overwhelming sense of peace and serenity, and I don't know, maybe that will change, maybe it won't, I don't know.
Now, let's be realistic. If he's still in a medical pod after 3 months, then he is going to be medicated. And the sort of things that they medicate inmates with for depression and stuff is basically your antipsychotic kind of meds that is going to level them out and make them really, really docile. So him saying that, he's taken it well and everything like that, I think part of that would be that they do have him medicated to the point where he's not capable of the highs and lows of emotion. Which is probably a good thing, given that, from what we know, the guy has a short temper. And I certainly wouldn't want to be one of his guards if he was in a foul mood.
Weird as it
For
sounds.
some reason, somebody thought that we were right around the corner, I guess, less than an hour from Orlando, and I said, we're 3 hours.
So, I mean, our understanding and impression is that you didn't do this, so why do you feel at peace and serenity with it?
Wow. Okay, the penny has well and truly dropped for Chris. If you listen to the 2nd of June phone call that I did, I was saying how it was like there was a coldness with Chris. Chris wasn't happy with Stefan. And I was saying that this was possibly around the time of a document dump and that Chris had probably learnt a lot of home truths about Stefan. And now he's just nailed him brilliantly. You're saying you didn't do this, so how can you be at peace over basically getting the DP? Snap. I still think that Chris may have been dragged in to help before Stefan was arrested. But I think this is a guy that does have far more morals than Deb or Stefan. And he sees it for what it is. And he's not going to sugarcoat it. And he's trying to hold Stefan accountable. This guy wants real answers. He doesn't want the BS Bible crap that Stefan was pulling with his mother.
I don't know. I guess whatever happens, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to be accepted? Going to be the fall guy for this? Is that the deal?
Okay, I stand corrected. I was so wrong. Here I was thinking that Chris was a stand-up guy. No. He still believes his son is innocent. Are you going to be the fall guy for this? They're still blaming Jen at this point, by the sounds of it.
Well, I think between that and the prospect of spending the rest of my natural life in a very miserable place before I eventually die alone with no one to care about me or give a shit that I've passed on, I don't
I get so sick of hearing that guy just doing the, I feel so sorry for myself. Feel pity for me because I'm just so miserable. Oh my gosh. Get over yourself, Stefan.
know. I think
Well, I think whoever's involved in this needs to have justice served on them. I mean, if you're not part of this, then let's get that cleared up. I mean, it's not for you, but for the family.
I'm pretty positive that this was all an accident.
Okay, so I was wrong about Chris. Chris is still in denial. Chris is still pushing for someone else to be charged, not Stefan. Whoever is involved in this needs to have justice served on them. If you're not a part of this, it sounds a bit. I think he's undecided. On one hand, he's still going with Stefan's story of, I wasn't there, I had nothing to do with it. But then he's also, by saying, if you're not a part of this, it's like he's really trying to push Stefan to be truthful. It's that typical parent psychology where your kid has done something wrong and you're like, well, okay, if you weren't a part of this, let's go and tackle it head on, knowing that the kid's going to back down because otherwise it's going to come out that they've done the wrong thing. And what does Stefan do here? Straight up, he's like, I'm pretty certain it was all an accident. He's once again admitting guilt. But what's interesting here is that this doesn't fit with his other story that we listened to in previous phone calls, where he claims that he left the room and he came back and she was ice cold. It does fit with him saying basically that he watched her die and he saw her ghost, or he felt her ghost leave her body. So I think Chris is getting there, but at the same time, he's still keen to blame Jen Soto, I think.
I'm not sure that any one person is to blame. Maybe no one's to blame, or maybe everyone's to blame.
Well, that's another interesting comment, isn't it? Maybe no one's to blame, or maybe everyone's to blame. So I think in his head he does blame Jen for putting them in that situation. What he was saying in an earlier phone call, where he was essentially making it sound like he was a victim there and Jen forced him to go to bed with Maddie. I think that's what he's angling at here. But he's hedging around it because I do believe that at this point in time, his lawyer has probably told him some cold hard truths. But he still wants his parents to believe he's innocent. But he knows that he can't deny everything. I think he realises that trying to blame it on Jen isn't going to work for him because it's going to be proven otherwise. It is quite interesting that it's almost like he's trying to stand up to his parents, but he's still too gutless to come out and be honest.
A little bit. I'm not sure, but honestly, there's no grand conspiracy here to hurt her.
Were you awake when sent her into the room with you?
Yeah.
And she was fine when she came into your room? What time at night was that?
Maybe 11-ish or so, I'm not sure.
I'm starting to get a sense of the family dynamics here. And I suspect that this has been the way things have always gone with them. Deb has always sided with Stefan, always believed his bullcrap, and Chris has put on his police hat and is asking the important questions. Were you awake when Jen sent her up into the room with you? And Stefan admits that he was. And Chris is like, well, was she okay when she came upstairs with you? So right now, he's trying to basically establish the facts. And he's trying to get Stefan to tell the truth. I think he would like to blame it on Jen, but it sounds like at the same time, this guy is a realist, and I think he's probably, based on the way he's talking, I think he's teetering two ways right now. He still wants to blame it on Jen, but he is starting to realise that Stefan is the culprit.
Okay, so she was fine, so what happened between 11 and whenever you found her?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So the prosecution should actually hire Chris. I love that. She was fine. So what happened between then and when you found her? Basically, he is pushing Stefan into a corner and trying to get him to be truthful here. I'm confused about Chris. I think there is definitely some decency there, but at the same time it seems like he's also protective of his family. But that's the million-dollar question. No, Stefan, it's not. We all know the answer. And maybe your trial is going to cost that much. Who knows? It's going to cost a lot because it's going to drag on. You've seen how many motions are already being filed. But we all know the answer, dude.
Yeah. I mean, when you say you were out of the room for what length of time were you out of the room?
I don't know.
15 minutes?
No. I left the room a couple of times. The first time I left to go to the bathroom, and second time I was out of the room for maybe a couple hours or so, maybe more. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that was plenty of time for the one-armed man to do it.
Well,
Do I trace a bit of sarcasm there from Chris? Plenty of time for the one-armed man to do it. For those of you who are not huge movie buffs, he's referring to the movie The Fugitive, where the dude was basically on the run because he was accused of murdering his wife, and it was apparently a one-armed man who did it. So, is Chris being sarcastic here and saying, where's this one-armed man? How did he get into the house? Or is he genuinely suggesting that someone else in that house was responsible for unaliving Maddie? Does he include Jen's flatmates in that? If that is an accusation? Now we do know, we heard from Jen that Stefan went downstairs to go to the bathroom at one point in time. And thinking of him lurking around the house is just really disturbing to me. But like I said in one of the previous videos, they'll know his movements from his Fitbit. And if he, as he claims, was sitting downstairs on the couch on his phone, they will also know when that occurred. They will also know when he was doing heightened activities based on the heart rate recorded by his Fitbit. So this story is not going to fly. Is he trying to claim that he didn't even once try and get any sleep? Because surely, I mean, I have a queen-size bed, and if my chihuahuas go to bed before me, as itty-bitty as they are, inevitably, when I climb into bed, I will find myself touching at least one of them. But, you know, all that is a moot point anyway, because we know his DNA was on Maddie. We know no one else was sleeping in that room with Maddie. This story is just not going to hold up in court.
Without getting into too much detail, she was acting kind of weird before she went to sleep, so I don't know what was going on there. But,
Acting weird, like having difficulty?
just strange behavior, acting loopy, things like that.
This guy truly is a piece of crap. What he's trying to establish here now is that Maddie basically OD'd by herself on something. To me, it actually sounds more like a confession from him that he had actually given her something that night. Which makes me think that he drugged her, and then at some point in time he also strangled her, because we know that that occurred. But he's trying to make it sound like it wasn't him. Thankfully, we have the interview from Maddie's friend, who basically was saying how Maddie, while she was staying with her grandmother, she was not taking her drugs because she felt better when she wasn't taking them. There is no sign in any of the interviews that Maddie would have considered doing anything like this to herself. And of course, we have his DNA all over Maddie's body. So, he hasn't got a leg to stand on. This is not going to fly in court. And it is a disgusting excuse to come up with, in my opinion.
So I'm not
Should
sure
she have been drugged?
I honestly can't get into too many details just because I don't want to hurt my case. But
So Deb is clearly ready to play his game. Straight up asks, could she have been drugged? And I have noticed that whenever he's having trouble coming up with credible answers he comes up with, I can't get into any more details, or can't get into too many details. Now, it's occurred to me too, he's seen the autopsy, meaning that he's probably seen the toxicology report. 3 months, I would imagine the toxicology report probably was completed by that stage. So it is quite likely that he knew what was in Maddie's system. So is this confirmation that he drugged her? Is this why he's now putting this part into the story? Because he's seen the toxicology report and he wants to make it sound like Maddie did it to herself?
I have some suspicions in that regard. Whether it was given to her by anyone or whether she helped herself, there are reasons to believe she may have done that as well.
Okay, he has definitely seen the toxicology report. And here's what I'm predicting. Remember they asked Jen about, in particular, about her marijuana tablets and what they looked like, and she said, well, they were a large purple tablet. And they were asking about possibilities of times when Stefan had given Maddie tablets that weren't her own. So I am going to suggest here that the toxicology report was back at this point in time. I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe something that is a slow release was found in her stomach contents. But certainly I would suggest that the toxicology report is going to be quite telling, because he seems to have set on this as his story. He's trying to dump Jen in it again. Maybe someone gave her something. But then he's also trying to put it fairly and squarely on Maddie's shoulders and suggest that Maddie stole some medications. He's now blaming Maddie for her death. The guy is such a coward that instead of admitting what he did, he's going to blame Maddie.
But
I can't,
okay.
obviously can't get into too much detail because,
No,
I'll sit
I know.
the case and, my attorney will, tear my throat out with her bare teeth if I flap my lips too much.
This is going to be the pattern with him from here on in. When he doesn't want to talk about something, it's going to be that he can't get into the details and that he's going to get into trouble with his attorney if he talks. Then again, I do have questions about attorney Lizzie Borden, aka Beth Burden, because, yeah, I could imagine that she's going to go all out and pull out all the stops, whether it's playing dirty or not. And I can imagine her running with this notion of, look, we found these in the toxicology report, and how do you know that Maddie didn't take these herself? That's something that makes me quite concerned. I think it will show. Obviously, we've not seen any of the CSAM footage, but I gather from that there were several where Maddie appeared out of it. So I think they will have enough evidence to show that he was rugging her. You also have the text messages between him and Jen, where Jen basically accused him of giving Maddie something other than Maddie's regular drugs. So none of these things are going to hold up in court.
Okay.
Well, you
All
need
right.
to be flapping them to her.
I'm giving notes to her. And one of the social workers whose specialty is dealing with people who are looking at the death penalty, she'll be here Monday, so I'll pass some more notes through her to my attorney, Alicia. And I guess some more lawyers are going to be hopping on board at this point. There's going to be a whole team working on this. But
Four more attorneys.
Although when you look at the motions, it seems like the key player here is Beth Burden. So, yes, there are some motions that have multiple names below, where they've clearly had multiple attorneys work on it. But, yeah, it seems like the key player in all this is Beth Burden. I wonder if she will actually present in court or if she will have one of her underlings do all the court stuff. If you watched the footage from the other day, she was not there. It was another lawyer, which I'm not sure who that was. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
it's going to be an all hands on deck kind of thing.
Well, I had a long conversation with them today, so there's some things that cannot be passed off as you didn't do it. As you know, there's too much evidence to it. But I told them, I said, you're still my son and I don't hate you, and I do not believe, in my heart, I do not believe that you killed that child.
So I was just about to turn around and say, wow, the tides have turned. Here she is saying there's some things that can't be passed off as you didn't do it. There's too much evidence. But then in the next breath, she's like, I know you didn't kill that child. Can we use her name? She's not that child. Her name is Madeline. The way that she's referring to Maddie there, she's distancing them from Maddie. She doesn't want to think of Maddie as a person because that's too much for her to accept. So clearly, I'm guessing we're talking about the CSAM stuff where the lawyer has basically said this is undeniable. But it sounds like no matter what you say to Deb or no matter what you show to Deb, she's going to refuse to accept that he was responsible for Maddie's death. I would like to know what they think now that it's been released that his DNA was all over Maddie.
You loved her too much, and she loved you, and I just don't think it happened that way. So if it was an accident,
We had a lot of wonderful plans for the week, and we were all looking forward to it, and we were all very happy to be reunited. It had been months since we'd all seen each other, and there's no reason that I would have given all of that up for literally no reason to hurt her and trade it all in for this.
That's so frustrating that he cut her off because she was starting to say something about an accident, but he cut her off with that so pathetic, long-winded story of it was shaping up to be a good week, all that sort of BS, once again. I've got no cause to have done this. Why would I trade all that for this? Because you lost your temper. And how delusional is this woman? We've heard from these parents on other occasions that he did have anger issues, that he was capable of snapping. We've even heard him refer to snapping in relation to whatever was going on that night. And yet Deb is still burying her head in the sand and going, I can't possibly believe that you would have done it because you cared about her too much. Yes, maybe he did care about Maddie. But this is how things happen in DV situations. Because amongst all this also counts as DV. Clearly, he lost his shiz with Maddie and he strangled her. Now, unless it was for other reasons and it wasn't because he lost his temper, more for self-gratification and he went too far. But based on everything we've heard, it sounds to me that he became angry with her for some reason. These people are so pathetic with their denials.
No, there isn't. But there's jealousy on the other side too. I mean, if she told you, I hope you don't leave me for my daughter, that tells me that she was thinking about that for a while.
Well, you said half jokingly, but, you know.
Yeah, just come out and outwardly say it, Deb. There's jealousy from Jen. So she's trying to accuse Jen of unaliving Maddie. And the big issue I have with that, and the reason I do push back when people comment along those lines in the comment sections of my video, is that we don't want to give the defence any excuses that they can use to try and get him off. We want to see him get the maximum penalty. So these theories about Jen doing it because she was jealous of Maddie are not helping get justice for Maddie. I think we can all be pretty confident that it was Stearns that did it. All the evidence points towards him. So Deb is being utterly delusional here to try and turn it back on Jen. Yes, Jen is still culpable. She allowed him to do what he does. She sent Maddie upstairs with him. But she wasn't the one who ended Maddie's life.
Just one of those, well, you know, again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but...
Again, he doesn't want to talk about it, so he's falling back on, I don't want to get into too much detail. Because he knows it wasn't Jen. And I think he doesn't want to... Well, he can't admit that it wasn't Jen, because then he would have to admit that it was him. My guess here is that he knows that Chris can tell. I suspect that Chris can tell when he's lying. And he doesn't want Chris calling him out if he lies about Jen. Stefan's technique for lying is more about stretching the truth a little bit, or skewing the truth a little bit. So he kind of gives a half-truth and then he twists it around and changes a little bit. So for him to outright blame Jen sounds like he just doesn't normally do that. He doesn't have the way of doing it that he thinks would be convincing. Of course, he doesn't realise that none of his lies are convincing, but it's interesting that he's doing his best to avoid directly implicating Jen. Of course, there's also the possibility that he's doing his best to avoid directly implicating Jen because he doesn't want her to turn on him. She would have so much crap on that guy. And I'd imagine that, I mean, we know that she was protecting him in all those interviews. And perhaps it's his fear that if he rolls on Jen and admits her part in all of this, that she will stop protecting him and she will roll and she will tell everything that she knows about what occurred between Stearns and Maddie. It's a real shame that the pair of them have lawyered up, because one strategy that was not used by detectives, which I'm now thinking would have been a good strategy to use, and that is to play them off against each other. The detectives accused Jen of protecting Stefan, but imagine both these two are narcissists. I'm pretty certain the only reason that they've basically stood up for each other is to protect their own hides. Unfortunately, the detectives didn't realise that, because can you imagine the information they could have got out of them if they were to give the impression that the other person had rolled and given them information?
There's a lot of shit going on, you know? But,
Yes, I do. I have nightmares imagining what you're living right now.
I'm okay.
And
It sucks. It's just a terrible place, and I've heard other inmates in the cells next to me talking about it. You know, those that have been in and out of correctional institutions their whole lives, and they say of all the county jails they've been to, this one is by far the worst.
Now, maybe I just expect human decency in everyone, because I thought Deb was going to say that she had nightmares about what happened to Maddie. But no, that's not on her mind. She's having nightmares about what conditions Stearns is in. She's not bothered about what happened to Maddie. She's bothered about where her son is and what conditions he's living under. And now he's coming up with this BS about this is the worst place ever. You know, I've heard conversations from other inmates who have been in and out of the system, and they're saying this one is way worse than anywhere else. Sure, Stefan. We'll believe you. But do you really think anyone's going to give you sympathy for that? Honestly, the guy just does my head in. He's so pathetic.
well, actually Rebecca said that today too. She said they are much more paranoid and they're stricter than they would have been in Orange County.
Yeah, they don't regard your rights as being as too important here either. They don't treat you like a human being. They're very antagonistic here as well. And mental health can hold you in these cells in isolation against your will for as long as they want to under the guise of self-harm protocols.
That is so rich, hearing that crap coming out of his mouth. Your rights are so important, are they? Did you ever consider Maddie's rights? Her right to live? I'm sorry, but no jail conditions could ever be bad enough for you, Stefan Stearns, given what you did. And now he's complaining about being kept in these suicide watch cells and basically saying they are using that as a weapon. Well, we know that's BS, because he's admitted that actually those cells are in high demand. So they have to move them around when they need to put other people in there. They're not going to put someone in there unnecessarily, because they need those cells. So if you're in there, it's because you're being uncooperative, and it's probably because you're putting on your Suki Lala story and trying to get sympathy, and their response to you trying to get sympathy is, this guy sounds like he is having mental health issues, we need to put him on watch. So unless you're going to stop putting on this Suki Lala act You're going to spend a lot of time in those pods, you moron. And as for the guards, well, sorry, but you're a jerk. You have an attitude. I'm pretty certain that they are just not wanting to play your games. I would say that is what it comes down to. He has been indulged his entire life. And he's probably jacking up about having to clean his cell, or jacking up about being told to have showers, or any number of things. And he's never had to face discipline in his life. He was homeschooled because he was too problematic at school. Rather than support the school and allow the school to discipline him, they removed him from the school and homeschooled him. He's never been in a situation where he's been forced to actually face any kind of consequences for his actions. So now he sees this as an affront because these prison guards are trying to do their job. And they're not putting up with his entitled attitude. And for that, he believes they're picking on him. Poor widow Stefan.
Uh-huh.
Even if you qualify for bail or bond, they can just keep holding you here and not let you walk free until they're, quote unquote, decide you're not a danger to yourself, and they can decide that for whatever reason they dream up.
Oh my gosh, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. If you're up for bail or bond, they can still keep you in those pods as long as they want. No. If you're up for bail, then they're going to have your ass out of there as soon as they can to free up that pod for someone else who needs it. The guy is just in this... He's so narcissistic that everything is a punishment of him, an undeserved punishment. They're all picking on him. Oh my goodness. You know, at the end of the day, if he actually towed the line and actually treated people with respect, then they might treat him with a little bit of respect in there. So, what he's saying about the way he's being treated, to me that is a direct reflection on the way he is behaving in there. But he will not cop to that, of course.
Yeah.
It's all very, very easily murky.
Yeah, the whole thing is murky right now.
Yeah, a lot of people lose their minds in this place.
Well, I could see that happening.
Yep. And, you know, I hear and see people that go into these isolation cells like I'm in, they start losing it completely and breaking down after 2 or 3 days.
Well, you're stronger than that.
Yep, I've been in here for over 3 months now in isolation, and I've never once lost it like that, so.
But you know what? Truth be told, you've never been one that needed to have people around you.
No.
You didn't need it. It's nice to have them, but you don't need it.
You know, it's just.
Yeah.
I just keep telling myself that there are people that have survived worse than this, and this is not going to kill me, and this is not going to break me.
The only thing worse than his self-pity is her indulging his self-pity. I would just love to hear one of them just turn around and say, "Suck it up, princess." If you weren't acting like such a sookie lala, then you would be in an isolation cell, not in one of these medical pods. Stop being such a drama queen. Get your act together. Admit what you've done. and start acting like a decent human being. But this guy's too narcissistic for that. So instead, he's going to play the victim. And while he plays the victim and plays the poor, depressed little boy, they're going to keep him in those pods. Because even if they know that, okay, this is all an act, this whole I'm so depressed thing that he puts on, if they got it wrong and put him in a regular cell, a regular isolation cell, and he topped himself, well, it would be doing the world a favour, but they would be in all manner of trouble. So he can't complain. If he wants out of those pods, he needs to demonstrate that he can be taken out of those pods and stop playing the Suki Lala victim woe is me act. And as for his parents, they need to grow some and actually put him in his place.
Okay. Don't let it.
No, I won't. I'm determined not to.
Know that we're here.
And I keep telling myself.
I understand that if we can get this car sold, where we can get some money for your account there. I understand that you can actually, like, maybe pay $5 to see a movie or something on those tablets.
I don't know about
It's like a penny. I don't know if it's a penny a word or what it is with the text messages, but you have to keep them brief.
God, that makes me mad. Oh, well, we're going to be here all along. You know, we're still here for you. And you know what? If we sell your car, we're going to give you even more luxuries. Because we want to make sure that you have every luxury that you can possibly have. Not only are we going to spend hundreds of dollars in books, not only are we going to continuously put money in your commissary so you can have this endless supply of coffee and lollies, which either he is going through one heck of a lot or he is trading them. But now they want to give him the special treatment as well so he can pay money and have movies as well in his cell. My goodness.
Okay.
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, can you, that smart connections or communications, can you send your passwords for some of your accounts, especially Spotify, because I keep getting billed for monthly for Spotify?
There's the 1 minute number. Yeah, I can try to pass those along to you.
Give them to your attorney and have her do it.
If nothing else, I'll give them to the social worker on Monday. But I keep telling myself every day, repeating this mantra, patience and faith, patience and faith. I just have to have patience and faith.
Yes, you do.
And I keep praying to God for deliverance, and I just have this overwhelming sense of serenity, and I hope that's His way of telling me it's all going to be okay. Even if not, it's change anything.
Regardless, what it is, Stephen, it's His way of letting you know that regardless of what happens on earth, you've asked for forgiveness, He's forgiven you, and you're not going to be penalized further.
I'll try to call you back in 15 minutes, but if you don't hear from me, I'll call back in the next couple of days.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Patience and faith. Well, he's using that to manipulate his mother. Pure and simple. But, honestly, she's like there, well, something about him asking forgiveness. Well, clearly he's not asked forgiveness because he's not admitted what he did. So why would you even suggest that? The pair of them are just utterly, utterly delusional. Now, something that one of my brilliant subscribers mentioned in one of the previous videos, at the end of the phone calls, you never hear Chris saying, love you. Chris doesn't reciprocate any of that. It's all about Deb and Stearns and Stefan. Not Chris. which I think is very interesting. I do think that Chris is far, far more ahead of Deb in terms of he realises what Stefan has done, and he is working on coming to terms with that, and he doesn't approve of it, and he's probably sitting back listening to the pair of them and thinking, you need to get with the real world. But Deb and Stefan, they're just utterly delusional. I don't know how he can claim any sort of faith when he has this whole phone call was full of lies from him. He is continuing to lie about what happened to Maddie. And yet he seems to somehow think that if he claims to have faith, that's going to allow him salvation. It doesn't work that way. Now, I can't help wondering if there's more to it in terms of Chris asking for passwords. He said plural. He wanted passwords from Stefan for his various online accounts. And then he spoke about Spotify and saying that he keeps getting a bill for Spotify. So what other online accounts is it that Chris needs access to? I'm really curious there. Although, surely Chris must realise that given the magnitude of these crimes, that they would have had their best techies onto it, and they would have uncovered every single online account that Stefan had.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Stephen Stearns.
an inmate at
Osceola County.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking.
Right.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm not sure if it's his phone number or the system, but I'm picking it up on the second ring and it disconnects.
Interesting. Yeah, it's probably the system.
Yeah.
They're janky.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got, as of the beginning of this call, I've got like $13 left in the debit account for calls and like $2 left in my commissary.
And again he pauses, waiting for a response for them because he's expecting them to say, no worries, how much money do you want us to put in again for you? Note the dates of this. This is less than a week since he asked them for money for his glasses. So he seems to just have no concerns about actually budgeting. He seems to just think that he can ask for money and they'll give it to him. And other than that first phone call that we listened to, I've not seen any pushback from them saying you need to slow down your spending. If it was me, I'd be saying, okay, well, let's break this down so we can make your money last. How much are your coffee things costing you? How much are your lollies costing you? How much are your biscuits costing you? And actually figure out exactly what he's spending, because I'm willing to bet that either he is buying excess and trading it, or he's buying other things with their money and not telling them.
So,
Okay.
what was I saying before? Yes, patience and faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep repeating that mantra to myself every day. Patience and faith. Patience and faith. No matter what, patience and faith. God will see me through.
Dude, grow a brain. God will not see you through while you continue to lie and refuse to take responsibility for your actions. That's not how it works. You can't just turn around and say, I believe in God, so everything I did doesn't matter because He's on my side and He's just going to see me through. No, you need to actually read the Bible and learn about what acting like a Christian actually is. Because, well, let's start with the 10 Commandments, shall we, dude?
Did you get glasses?
No. I'm still not 100% convinced that I actually need them. The times that I was squinting down at the paper, I had just woken up from a nap or I had not slept that night. So it was probably just my eyes had not gotten going or were just strained and weary. Because, I mean, I'm reading books now, and, you know, the distance I'm reading them at, I can see the text fine.
Holy crap. This guy essentially bullied his father into putting more money into his commissary on the pretext that I've ordered these glasses and the money needs to go in by midnight tonight. If you don't put the money in, I don't get them, and I need them. Even my lawyer has noticed I need them. Give me money so I can buy these. And now Chris asks him, did you get them? And he's like, no, I don't think I really need them. Well, what did you do with the money that your father gave you specifically to buy those glasses? Because I'm willing to bet that if he's said to Chris, these glasses cost $11 and I have no money in the commissary to pay for it, well, Chris wouldn't have just put $11 in there. We know their pattern. Chris probably put $11 on top of whatever the regular amount is that he would have put in for Stefan. And I know someone's got, probably the docket has got all these amounts there, but he's basically pressured his father into giving him money immediately after that other phone call and didn't even spend it on what he asked for the money for. And now he's backing out of it and saying, oh, my eyes are fine, I don't really need these glasses. But, by the way, I've only got $2 left in my commissary and I'm waiting for you to respond and tell me that you're going to put more money in. And if you don't respond and tell me you're going to put more money in, I'm going to come back to that topic during this phone call and I'm going to make sure that I remind you that I've only got $2 left in my commissary. And then I'm going to put the sob story about how I'm running out of coffee or I'm running out of lollies and these are the things that help me survive. So I need you to put money in my commissary.
So I'm going to hold off on the glasses for the time being.
All right.
Romans is all about God's forgiveness for you, so read Romans.
Yeah. Right now I'm reading through Exodus, which is all about God's deliverance from hardship and having faith in Him.
So he believes God's going to deliver him from hardship because he's got faith? No, you've got a heck of a lot more hardship coming your way, dude, regardless of whether or not you fess up to it. But here's the thing. If you actually stop lying and admit what you did, you might actually find the hardship to be less. You may actually manage to avoid going to the chamber.
Yep.
So I'm putting a lot of my hopes on the deliverance aspect. I've asked for forgiveness, but I'm hoping for deliverance.
I'm so overhearing all this religious crap from him. And this is not me saying that the people who have faith, this is nothing about people with faith. This is about him having no idea what Christianity is about. Sure, you can ask for forgiveness, but you've got to take actions to prove that you actually are repentant, which in his case would mean actually confessing to what he did and pleading guilty. He's not done those things. So, how can he possibly ask for forgiveness? But this sounds like a confession to me. He's asked for forgiveness for what? I would love to hear exactly what it is that he's asked for forgiveness for. Because he's telling his parents he's innocent. And now he's turning around and saying he's asked for forgiveness and he's asking for deliverance. I think this guy is so narcissistic and delusional that he probably thinks that if he can ask a divine power for forgiveness and deliverance, that they won't see what he's done and they will just open the jail door for him and say, here you go, you can go now, because this is what divine intervention looks like. What planet is this guy on? And why do his parents allow this?
Well, I will tell you as a Christian that the Old Testament is pre-Jesus, and Jesus is the only way you're going to get to God, and you only get to God through talking with Jesus. So I would get rid of Exodus and start at the beginning of the New Testament.
I pray to Jesus as well. I pray to God, and I end it, with these things I pray in the name of our Lord and Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I've prayed to Jesus for forgiveness as well and asked him not to strike my name from the book of life.
The guy is the ultimate narcissist if he believes that he can just get this divine intervention. Now, is this an admission of guilt saying that he has prayed to Jesus for forgiveness? I'd like to know what he's prayed for forgiveness for, but it certainly sounds like he's admitting that he's done something that he needs forgiveness for. Of course, the crunch with that is that he's not actually pled guilty to anything. He's not actually admitted to doing anything. In fact, throughout these phone calls, we'd heard him continue to lie about what happened. And praying to not have his name struck from the Book of Life. Now, I come from a Uniting Church background, which is your standard Methodist offshoot kind of thing. So I'm not familiar with the Book of Life. I get the gist of it, that they're the people who are going to be saved in the resurrection or something like that. That's like I said, it's not something that I'm familiar with coming from a Uniting Church background. But I'm pretty certain that if you are a red rummer, because I can't use the other word, and you don't admit to it, you don't admit guilt, you don't plead guilty, you lie about it, pretty certain you're not going to be in there in that book.
Okay.
It's just, I talk to God a lot, and, things have been bad. I've been suffering a lot here, but I think of it as a test of faith. I just have to endure this and survive it. And, things have taken a very grim turn, obviously, but, also things do get darkest just before the dawn, and I sincerely hope that I will have a dawn, but,
if it wasn't for the fact that this is just serious denial, this would be laughable. Poor man's been suffering a lot. Oh, Stephen the martyr. And a test of his faith. No, a test of your faith is when you are placed with challenges that are not things that you have brought on yourself. A test of your faith is basically just that. You're faced with these challenges and your faith is being tested. Do you have faith in your God to get you through these challenges? Unaliving a 13-year-old child, winding yourself up in incarceration, refusing to admit guilt, and facing all the consequences for that has got nothing to do with a test of faith. This guy is just off in La La Land. Whether he believes it or whether he is just trying to pacify his mother, I don't know, but they're both in some crazy denial world. They're a pair of loonies.
Well, it can't get worse, can it?
Well, I don't know about that. Sure, things could always get worse.
I don't know what's left.
Different population.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm talking about Charlie, you said.
None of these guys have got the faintest clue, have they? Yeah, it is going to get worse once you are actually convicted. Because right now, you are still being treated as someone who is innocent until proven guilty. But, dude, your life is going to change for the worse once you are convicted. And I wonder if after he is convicted and after he has been told that he's going to go to the chamber, I wonder if Chris and Deb are going to look back on this and regret that they enabled him and wish that they had encouraged him to basically admit his guilt and cop a plea. Because they are now basically pushing him towards that chamber with their enabling, with not actually turning around and telling him it's time to face the music, telling him it's time to start telling the truth and basically admit what he did and face the consequences. I hope they realise this before the trial and they change their stance, because at least I doubt he will ever actually admit guilt, but I would imagine for them it would be hard to live with the fact for the rest of their lives, knowing that they should have actually encouraged him to do the right thing instead of pandering to him and allowing him to continue in this fantasy, which is basically going to make things a heck of a lot worse for him.
yeah, well, it's true. I mean, I guess murder one is about as bad as it can get, and the death penalty is about as extreme as it can go.
Yeah.
I don't even know what method they use down here.
The what?
Lethal injection, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not so bad, right? You go to sleep and then you go to heaven.
Yep.
Perhaps his lawyer needs to explain things to him a little bit better. As far as I know, in Florida, the choice is lethal injection or electrocution. Neither of them are as instantaneous as you would think. You hear stories, you hear horror stories when it comes to lethal injection. It's not necessarily a peaceful ending. I don't want to dwell on that, but this guy is being so delusional. He just doesn't seem to be able to grapple the magnitude of what he's gotten himself into. And I'm pretty certain that when his time comes, he's going to be wishing he had more time. But, is he accepting that that's what the outcome is going to be? Because if he's accepting that that's what the outcome is going to be, he is essentially admitting guilt, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, I wonder if they still do last
I think they
meals
give
at
you
a
a
special
tranquilizer.
request.
You get what?
Del Taco?
I was thinking more like an entire Little Caesars pizza, some Mexican candy, 2 liter of cherry Coke.
I don't think you get a Little Caesars. You may get a frozen pizza, though.
No,
No, they get you what you want.
I don't know.
I think within reason,
I thought
It's not like
I thought you were going to tell them they asked their mom to make her death by chocolate cake for you.
Well,
How interesting is it that this guy has not been convicted yet, but he's planning his last meal? What does that tell you about what's going on in his mind? He's forgetting about his lies. He is here giving an admission of guilt, forgetting the fact that he's supposed to be objecting to all this and supposed to be the innocent victim. Now, if you were an innocent victim who had been fit up by people, you were the scapegoat and you were looking at facing the death penalty, would you really be planning your last meal? No, you wouldn't. You would be screaming that you are innocent. You would be objecting as loudly as you possibly could. And yet he's resigned to the fact that he needs to choose his last meal. That says a heck of a lot.
just one of those is enough to fill your chocolate quota for the year.
Yeah.
No? No?
But,
In lieu of a chocolate cake, we'll have to it has to arrange to go to Ho-Ho's or something.
yeah, ho-hos, that's not bad. Or some zebra cakes.
Yeah.
I asked your attorney today if we sent the hard candies that you like, the Mexican candy and the coffee flavored candies straight from Amazon, if that would be allowed. And she said sometimes they allow seasonal stuff to be sent through, but she'll check on it.
Okay, well, that'd be worth checking into.
So reminder of that, because it's not coming from us, it's coming straight from the distributor.
Yeah, I'm sure the hard candies would be fine. Probably not the lollipops because of the sticks, but certainly, hard candies like the Pulparindo hard candies or the Revolsaditas, those would probably, if they would allow things like that, those would be the most likely because, obviously I get hard candies through commissary anyway.
Honestly, just let the guy use his commissary money to buy his hard candies. It's unreal. Next they're going to be asking, can you check if it's okay for us to buy you a spa through Amazon? Because it'll be through Amazon, so it'll be packaged. Like, unreal. Let the guy suffer a little bit for what he's done. Stop indulging him.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're tired of root beer hard candy.
Yeah, well, I'd like to try the Jolly Ranchers or the sour fruit balls, but those always seem to be unauthorized item, which I think means sold out or out of stock. So, on this last order, though, I got some more spicy peanuts. I got some more coffees. I think I've got like 28 coffees left now. So I'm good on that for at least another week or two. And I ordered...
How do you heat it?
What's that?
I think we get to.
How do you heat it?
Well, the sinks have a hot and a cold tap, so if you let the water run for a little while on the hot tap, it'll actually get warm, and then, not hot, not steamy hot, but sufficiently hot to have some warm coffee.
Oh.
So I just dump it in there, and then I let the water flow into it, and I've got, I usually save over some extra paper spoons or whatever from meals that I didn't need them for and use that to stir it.
So, again, he's talking about his commissary. He's talking about getting these extra peanuts and stuff. And yet you don't hear any objection from his parents to the fact that he's basically splurging out and buying himself all these extra treats. All they're concerned about is how does he heat his coffee. Who gives a damn how he heats his coffee? And I'm so glad that he's having a lukewarm coffee from the hot water tap. I'd imagine those pipes are pretty old and disgusting. I certainly wouldn't want to be drinking something that's made from hot water directly from the pipes. So, good luck to him on that.
Okay.
I ordered, on my last commissary run, I ordered a couple of seafood items. I ordered a pack of mackerel, and I ordered the sardines and the hot tomato sauce, but they didn't arrive. I guess it was out of stock.
Okay.
I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll like them. Anyway, the mackerel arrived, though, and it's a fillet of mackerel in soybean oil.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it might actually be decent. Got good protein, though.
Yeah.
So,
Can we just acknowledge the fact that this guy gets 3 meals a day? And yet he is thoroughly splurging out on his commissary, spending all his parents' money and then complaining because he's running out of money. He hasn't yet asked them for more money, but that's coming. It'll probably be accompanied by I don't have any of this stuff, I need money for this, or something along those lines. But if I was his parents, I'd be getting pretty pissed about now. The guy's buying himself all these luxuries. No wonder when he appeared in court the other day, he didn't appear like he was any lighter for his stay for 12 months of staying in incarceration. Because the guy's living like a king. Sounds like he's buying pretty much everything that's available on the commissary. I can't believe how much they enable this guy.
I'll get that, and who knows, maybe the sardines, those would probably be fillets as well, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It probably won't be the whole fish, not like anchovies are sometimes,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'll keep trying to get those, because I want to try them out, put them on a saltine cracker or something.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right.
Yeah,
You get hot chocolate there?
No, I do not get hot chocolate, I don't think. I've looked at the drink mixes and I haven't seen any hot chocolate.
Oh, okay.
You can tell from the tone of their voices that they're not actually impressed with him talking about these special things that he's buying himself. But, they don't stop, do they?
But like I said, I got some fruit punch beverage mix, and that's pretty good. For about $4.60, I get 8 pouches, and each of those pouches is good for 2 servings in these little 6-ounce cups. So it's in reality, it's like 16 servings.
Okay.
So it's actually a decent deal. So that's basically what I've been doing, just getting coffee, hard candies, and saltine crackers. And then every once in a while I'll splurge and get some spicy peanuts, or like I did this time, got the seafood stuff, and I even got a couple of curry cheese danishes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I'll splurge on special treats.
What brand of Danish is it?
Clover Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a bear claw
They
cherry.
must get it. Yeah, that's a school food service company. That, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is like these sort of off-brand, like the spicy peanuts are from Moon Lodge. The hard candies are from like Corner Store Candy, things like that. It's all distributed through the Keith Commissary Company out of Missouri, I guess.
Oh my gosh, the list just keeps getting longer and longer of things that he's wasting their money on. It's like a kid in a candy store. He doesn't need all that stuff. He's getting 3 meals a day. He should be more than happy with his saltine crackers and his coffee and his candy. And I mean, I would imagine that they would provide them with something like coffee sachets or something of a morning. Surely, I mean, I don't know, it just seems like he's giving the impression that they're feeding him on gruel or something. And so he needs all these other things to supplement his diet, which is not the case. I mean, oh my gosh. I did notice at one point Deb said, okay, and her voice went higher than I've ever heard it. So I don't think she's overly impressed with him spending their money. And this is only a few weeks after Chris saying to him that they were essentially in lockdown with their finances. And yet, he's basically just throwing their money away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's actually, some of these things are actually pretty good. The Moon Lodge snacks are very good. They have this buffalo blue cheese ruffle chips. I tried those on one of my last big splurges, and those were actually surprisingly good. And their sour cream and onion chips are actually very good. Some of the best sour cream and onions I've had.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
No salt and vinegar, huh?
No, unfortunately not. No salt and vinegar, no all dressed, no Zapp's Voodoo chips, nothing like that.
Yeah.
If you never tried the Zapp's Voodoo chips, by the way, you should get them at the store. They're really good. They're like crunchy kettle cooked chips.
We've had them.
Oh, yeah, the flavor, they remind me of all dressed. It's got a little bit of all.
I wonder how long it's going to take before he starts complaining about the limited range of things that he's actually able to buy. It sounds like they have this amazing range of things to buy, and it sounds like he is spending an utter fortune on snacks and lollies. Well, here's the thing. If you didn't give him money every time he asked for it, he would learn to adjust his eating habits and learn to get by without eating 24 hours a day, which it sounds like he's doing. He certainly looks like he could afford to lose a bit of weight still, and he wouldn't be wasting all your money. He doesn't need to be snacking, and you're just enabling him.
our taste buds are kind of changing. A lot of stuff we just doesn't taste good to us.
Yeah, my taste buds have changed too, honestly. When I first got here for the first week, I wasn't able to eat the food, and it's funny how eventually your body forgets what good food is supposed to taste like.
No, eventually self-preservation kicks in and you just eat what you get.
Have you noticed how every time he needs validation from them, he stops and waits for it? And he's got her so well trained that she's just got to step in. But that's probably not the answer that he wanted from her. He wanted sympathy because the food in there is so inedible. And yet she basically said, well, survival kicks in and you just got to eat what you get. Sucked in, Stefan. And how can he, on one hand, be going on about all these snacks and things that he's bought, and then talking about how, his taste buds have changed and he couldn't even eat the food when he first came in here? Honestly, probably because the guy is probably used to really unhealthy food, ramen and takeaways probably, because I can't see him being someone who would bother to cook a decent meal, and I certainly can't see Jen as being someone who would bother to cook a decent meal. So he was probably starting to be fed things like meat and 3 veg, which was probably incredibly boring for him. I mean, they have to take nutritional value into account when they're planning these meals. They do have to have some consideration for the inmates. They don't just feed them slop. Chances are, I don't know, but I'd imagine that there is probably a prison kitchen where inmates actually cook the food for the entire prison and then it's sent out. Meaning that he's probably getting better meals than his parents.
Yep, you get hungry enough, you'll eat anything, and then I'm able to eat, a lot of the stuff now, including the vegetables that are just bare vegetables without anything on them. Bare broccoli, bare cauliflower, bare carrots,
Okay, can someone please explain? Because in Australia, that's how we have our veggies. I mean, if I was going to have broccoli and cauliflower, I would probably have it steamed so it's still crunchy. Carrots, well, I might actually add a bit of honey to the carrots because I love honeyed carrots. Same with green beans. I might add a bit of lemon to them just to give a bit of a zhuzh to the flavour. But what's he talking about? Like, is this one of those American cultural things where you pile sauces and stuff all over your vegetables or something? Because I don't really get it, other than a bit of salt and pepper. What else are you going to add to your vegetables?
You have to understand that with your blood pressure problem, they're not giving you any salt on that stuff.
Oh no, I'm getting the normal trays. They took me off those diet trays.
Okay.
But they don't put salt or butter on stuff anyway because, that would be too good, They don't want to make the food taste good. They don't want people to want to be here. If the food is actually decent and, there's not much incentive for people not to come here when they're homeless or desperate.
Or maybe they don't add salt or butter because they need to keep medical costs down and they don't want 2,000 overweight inmates with high blood pressure.
Not that it matters because homeless people are getting thrown in jail anyway. If the Florida legislature passed a bill that made it illegal to camp in public places or sleep in public places. So these places have become mental hospitals and homeless shelters.
Well, Trump was right when he called DeSantis the sanctimonious.
Yeah, that guy's a...
The man thinks he's a little god now.
No, he definitely is a goose-stepping little dictator who tiptoes around in high-heel shoes and is sinking the ship that is Florida.
Okay, so the only thing I know about your politics is in relation to your president. And trust me, I'm not going down that road. So I have no comments on this.
The only thing he did good was support us during COVID.
Well,
And that was just to give the middle finger to Washington, basically.
well, everything else he's doing is seriously undermining civil, constitutional, and human rights.
Yes, it is.
So I've not been happy with what the party's been doing down here for a long time.
Well,
But
Yeah.
it's unpleasant talk that I don't want to talk about. The sad ass.
hey, do you guys get to vote in there?
You can petition to have your rights restored to vote, but I'm not sure exactly how that works. I read something about it in the inmate handbook. But I'm not sure, depending on what, it might depend on your charges or your levels, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anyway, so what's for dinner, guys?
1 minute remaining.
Oh, we had some ravioli.
With Parmesan.
Okay, that sounds nice. I can't believe it's 1 minute left already. This is ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I might not be able to call you back in another 15 minutes. I'll try, but if you don't hear from me next couple of days, I'm much closer to the officers now, so they can get around to me. I'm not on the other side of the pod anymore, where it takes them longer to get to me and ask for the phone back.
Okay.
All right, but I'll try again in 15 minutes.
All right.
A couple days, okay?
Okay.
Okay, love you.
All right,
Bye.
you both. Bye.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Stephen Stearns.
an inmate at
Osceola.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using iSafe Solutions. You may begin speaking.
Hey there.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
What?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. This will be my last call tonight, and I'll have about $7 left in the debit account after this call.
I'm putting money in now.
Okay.
Okay.
Mission accomplished. That's what he was after. He was after more money from his parents, yet again. And I wonder if these are the only times that he rings them, because it seems like every time he's talking to them, he's just run out of money. So, is this the only reason he rings them?
Anyway, so you guys had a good dinner. That's nice.
I wouldn't say good.
It's sufficient. Better than what you had, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
You would be surprised to see your father. He is down over 60 pounds. I am down 47 pounds.
Wow, congratulations.
Yep.
Yep, I've lost a lot of weight too, and I'm starting to exercise a little bit in my cell during the day, so I've been doing a lot of push-ups and crunches and squats and whatnot.
Well, that's why I sent you that kata book with the exercises, because it uses isometrics, you know, and they were saying, well, maybe they'll think it's a fighting book. And I said, it's not a fighting book, it's an exercise book, and it makes you sound in mind and body, and if anybody needs that, it's someone in jail.
Well,
Sound in mind and body.
if they think it's questionable for any reason, they'll reject it and then ban it.
Okay?
They're obviously so used to him doing this one-upmanship that it totally went over her head. She's like, oh, look, we've lost all this weight, we're super healthy. And what does he do? Guess what? So did I. See? I'm just as good as you guys. In fact, I'm even better because I'm doing exercises too. And obviously it's something that has been a lifelong thing because she didn't blink an eyelid. Instead, she's like, oh, that's why I got you this book. That they don't see any of this manipulation from him, do they?
Did you get my list of books, by the way, from the social workers?
I think did we?
No.
No?
I have to get them there.
No.
Fax that to you, or I don't know. Anyway, I've got another.
How many books can we send you at a time?
I have no idea. I don't think there's any limit to the mail that you can receive as long as it doesn't pose like a security or like logistical concern.
Okay. Do you guys? One thing that Rebecca told me today when we were talking about the Cotta book, she says, "You'd be surprised at the raunchy romance novels some of these guys get."
Oh yeah. Mental Health gave me a novel that turned out to be it was a thriller, but it was a romance novel. And I was reading that, I was like, this is like pure word smut.
Yeah, well, that's a housewife porn.
Yeah, no kidding. It's I call it literature designed to stimulate ovulation.
Just when you think this guy couldn't be even more disgusting, he comes out with comments like this. Yeah, you're so special, aren't you, Stephen? You're just so much above everybody else. And he comes across as a bit of a misogynist, which is kind of ironic when you consider why he's in there in the first place.
Yeah. Yep.
That's yeah. I mean, they're like, yeah, you can't have anything with nudity or depictions of nude people or anything like that. But that stuff is like clearly allowed. I'm like,
They paint a picture.
yeah, a very graphic one, I might add.
Yes, but let's talk about the kind of books that you are getting, Stefan. What makes you so much better when you have books that encourage violence, books that are thrillers? I mean, Stephen King books certainly are no walk in the park.
Yeah. Probably not what they should be giving inmates in prison.
Well, I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of the novels on the book card are romance novels, which leads me to believe that most of the readers are female anyway, so they probably have a great time with that.
Maybe.
But,
Maybe.
well,
What a hypocrite. We've heard her talking about the books that she's selected for him, and yet she's criticising people for reading romance novels. Unreal.
anyway, I'm just hoping to get some Michael Crichton novels and some classic literature, some Tolkien. And I put in a request on my page for some manga comics, like the Japanese comic book / graphic novels that that a lot of the anime shows are based on. I talked to Mental Health, and they said stuff like that should be okay as long as it's bound with glue and not staples like a regular comic book. I said, yeah, these are bound with glue; they're more like graphic novels.
Okay.
But they come in series, and they're the basis for a lot of what the animated shows are based on.
I'm willing to bet that he's not after just your regular everyday manga, but he's after the other sort of manga, which basically is a bit more sexually explicit. So I hope that they are actually banned and that he's not allowed access to them.
So
Okay.
if I can't consume the animated shows here, I can at least see what happens with the stories.
Okay. That works.
And at least the ones that I've requested should be okay. I don't think they've got anything bad. I don't think they've got like any outrageous nudity or anything in them. Sometimes, manga comics do, because sometimes anime does, because the Japanese have a different attitude towards it. But the ones that I've requested, I think, should be safe enough.
Are those available through Amazon?
Yes, they are.
No. Just ask them to send us a list. To put it on the list.
Well, we got to get the first order confirmed.
Yeah.
We gotta establish that we can actually get this going, and then I'll tell you which titles to go for. But I do have one of the ones that I want. It's Neon Genesis Evangelion, and
I won't remember that.
it's okay. It's a complete series, and I actually have. It comes in like larger consolidated volumes. And I actually have volume 1 in the drawers, in the plastic drawers beneath my desk, if you wanted to look at that for reference and see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think there's like 5 or 6 of those volumes.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, they won't let me send them to you, so.
This guy just seems to think that his parents are like this bottomless pit of money and that they're just going to buy him anything he wants. I mean, it shows you the existence that he's had. Because there's no could you please get this, or I'm sorry to ask this of you, I know it's imposition. He's taking all this for granted. Which ties in with one of his friends, and I can't remember which, talking about the fact that basically she indulged him his whole life. He was always getting new trading cards or new toys. And now he's basically just thinking of whatever he can to spend their money on. Well, to me, buying manga seems like a horrible waste of money. I mean, it's bad enough that they're spending money on books. But really, I mean, how quickly would you go through a manga? Spend 30, 40 bucks on a manga and he's done with it in a day and demanding more books after that. I really wouldn't want to be going down that road if I was his parents.
No.
That'll never happen.
But if you wanted to reference it and see what I'm talking about, and then look
Okay.
for it on Amazon, that's what I'm saying, for reference.
Okay.
And anyway, we'll figure it out. We got to get
We will.
established first.
We got a long time to figure it out too.
Yeah, well, no kidding. Apparently, from what I've heard, but we're going to see what happens. But I really hope this feeling of peace and serenity is. I hope it's some sort of sign.
I hope so too.
Yeah, it's a sign, all right. It's a sign that they've got you medicated to the point where you're just a stoner. And he doesn't deserve to have a sense of peace and serenity. Now, I get that it's convenient in these sorts of institutions when you have people like him who are showing signs of depression, etc., that it is easiest to put them on those antipsychotic drugs because it levels their moods out and it does make it a safer environment for the guards and everyone. But at the same time, I wish they'd just lock him in his cell with no medications and just let him suffer.
I really do.
Even, as
Yes.
many near-death experiences I've had, and as many times as God has delivered me from the jaws of death, I can't believe that He would do all of that just for me to end here.
You are kidding me, right? The guy is a Fruit Loop. What a narcissist. He's still not willing to accept responsibility for what he did. And he thinks the fact that he's had near-death experiences in the past means that he's going to be rescued from being in jail. unreal. You know, those near-death experience may have been an attempt at a wake-up call for you, but they sure as hell weren't some sign that you have special divine protection so that you can go and unalive a 13-year-old girl and expect that you're going to have divine intervention that's going to get you out of prison. You're there for good, dude. You did the deed, now you do the time.
Well, I can't believe that he put those thoughts and desires in you either. But something happened.
Well, I can't confirm or deny anything, obviously. I don't want to do any damage to
No?
here, but
I can't confirm or deny anything. She's basically backed him in a corner, and instead of admitting to what everybody knows is 100% proven, he backs out of it with, I can't confirm or deny. Dude, they have how many thousand? 10,000 images or something showing what you did to Maddie. You don't need to confirm or deny because it's already confirmed. And had you been listening to the beginning of this conversation, your mother explained to you that the lawyer had explained to her that they've got you banged to rights. You're not getting out of it. You can't talk your way out of this one. Even your mother accepts that you are a pervert. And that's putting it nicely.
it's a lot more messy and complicated than everyone would like it to be.
Oh, do tell, Stefan. How are you planning on talking your way out of this one? It's actually pretty damn simple. And they have the images to just prove how damn simple it is.
Well, I kind of figured that.
It would be a lot more simple and a lot more easy if I really was just a horrible monster, but it's not like that.
No, it's not. And that's what Rebecca said today. She said, you know, I don't tend to think of them as bad people. I tend to think of them as people that have done something wrong, but they have a lot of good still in them. And I say, well, that's exactly what he is. He's got a lot of good in him.
Oh, for heaven's sake. This woman needs to actually stop and think for just one moment about what she's doing here. She has enabled him his entire life, and now she is excusing his behaviour. He's like, it would be a lot more simple if I was just a monster, but I'm not. And she's like, no, you're not, you know. There's a lot of good in you. How about if you actually, for once, confront him over what is known as pure solid fact, instead of pussyfooting around like this? He's never going to admit guilt because you're encouraging him not to. You're telling him he's a good person. You don't believe that he's a bad person. You don't believe that he should be punished for this stuff, essentially. Just get a life. It's your fault that he's in there in the first place, Deb Stearns, because you have enabled him his entire life. And then when he has gotten into trouble with something, you've done exactly what you are just doing now. You've brushed it off and basically been like, oh, it doesn't really matter. You're still a good person. He's a monster. You need to start seeing that. I wonder if his parents will actually attend the trial, because then they're going to actually have to see they're going to have to open their eyes and see exactly what he's done. But I suspect that Deb probably won't attend the trial because she doesn't want him to lose his shine. Chris might. He seems to be more of a realist. But I think Deb would probably rather bury her head in the sand and continue telling people that, no, Stefan's a good person. It's all a misunderstanding.
A lot.
And I've done a lot of good. I've done much, much more good than I have bad. But it's funny how, people only ever focus on the bad and all the good counts for nothing.
Well, that's what they always said. It's like being late to work. When you're late once, they don't forget it. When you're on time 360 days a year, they
You're
don't think
kidding
about
me,
it.
right? We're not talking about someone being late for work. We're talking about someone who victimised a child for somewhere between 4 and 7 years, most likely the full 7 years. And then, when things didn't work out for him, he took her life and he dumped her like a piece of garbage. And you're worrying because people see that and they can't see any good in him. By all means, Deb, how about you do an interview with somebody now that we've heard all these phone calls and tell us about the good in your son. While you're at it, tell us about the good in you, because right now I'm struggling to see that. These two are on their own planet. This is just unreal. So because you claim you're a good person, then nobody should look at the fact that you did these hideous, hideous acts. I'm gobsmacked at the way these people think.
Yeah, well,
Or when you're bad, they don't forget, and when you're good, they don't remember.
yep. If we had to put all my good deeds and weigh them against my bad deeds on a scale, the good would far outweigh the bad.
My God. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to swear, wasn't going to use profanity. But did he really just say that? All the good things he's done would far outweigh the bad. Is that how little Maddie's life meant to you? Is that how little Maddie's body meant to you? All those things that you did to her for all those years, you are now trying to minimise them and saying they're not all that bad. And you actually turning around and taking Maddie's life, you're trying to say that's not all bad. We shouldn't look at those things because they pale in comparison with the fact that you're such a wonderful person.
Well, since God considers sins a lot different than you do, you just never know how it works out. But I mean, just thinking bad thoughts about your parents, believe it or not, that's a sin. Talking back is a sin. Lying to them is a sin. Stealing, defaming somebody, talking behind their back, gossiping, all those are supposedly minor sins, but they all build up.
Yeah.
I figure I've got a couple of Santa Claus sacks full of stuff.
Yeah. Now that's quite interesting, really. I think Deb does have limits. I noticed that she's basically put it on him things like stealing, speaking back to your parents, all those sort of things. They're still sins and they add up. But then she's like, I've got a Santa Claus sack full. Is she referring to herself? Or is she referring to Stefan? Is she finally admitting that she's not a very nice person? Or is this her subtle way of saying to him, BS, you're certainly no saint?
Yeah, I'm sure we all do. No one's perfect.
No, the only one person was perfect, and they killed him.
Yep.
But he did that. He knew that was coming, and that's why he was born. And he did that so that we would not have to pay for our sins.
Yep.
If we ask for forgiveness, and if we ask Jesus to bring us home.
Yep. And well, that's what I've been doing. And been praying for forgiveness, praying for salvation, and also praying for deliverance. And I want you guys to also pray for me to be delivered as well. Pray for me to come home and
I will.
pray for that opportunity. I've been talking to God and telling him, I can do whatever I need to do to get my life right, but I need the opportunity to do that. And it's only through him that I will have that opportunity if he can see it in his heart to shine his grace and his mercy down on me and allow me the opportunity to see my mother and father again.
I've said my piece about all this, but it's driving me nuts. I find it incredibly offensive that he's speaking in this way. It's just ridiculous. And she encourages it. He keeps talking about asking for forgiveness. Well, here's the thing. You can't ask for forgiveness if you don't actually admit what you did. So I don't know why you're asking for forgiveness.
Well, I will pray for that too.
Yeah, keep praying for it. Pray for him to hear me, and I'm praying for it as well. And I'm hoping for it. And whatever happens, good or bad, I know.
You accept it with grace and dignity,
Yep.
and know it's not the end of the world.
Yep, that's what
You getting any chance to learn any Spanish while you're there?
What's that?
Are you getting a chance to learn any Spanish while you're there?
No, I have not had a chance to avail myself of any education programs yet, but I do hear plenty of it being spoken around me.
Well, that's what I mean. Whether you're picking up some of whatever.
No, sometimes when people ramble like that, it all kind of slurs together and gets jumbled up.
Uh-huh.
But that may be just more of a consequence of the echoes and acoustics in here.
Yeah.
But, I keep thinking if I've ever had a Jesus take the wheel moment in my life, this is certainly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously, what do you think would happen given that you've not actually acknowledged what you did? That you're not actually offering any pleas. So what do you think is going to happen with your Jesus take the wheel moment? I don't think it's going to be something that you would appreciate. In fact, let's talk divine intervention. That flat tire, you were spotted. And that allowed them to find Maddie. Which made it much easier to pin this on you. You went down to Northport in the middle of the night. Unfortunately for you, someone happened to get involved in a motor vehicle accident near your parents' house, and the car that you were driving was subsequently caught on the dash cameras or something like that of the Northport PD, so that they discovered that you were actually down at Northport that night, which meant that they could actually get the FBI to do a cast, and they discovered that you were actually logged onto your Google account at your parents' house that night. And just maybe, had that accident not occurred, they might not have discovered that you were down there that night. Maybe, had that flat tire not occurred, you might have reached your destination and Maddie might still not be found. And maybe we would still be waiting for justice for Maddie. So, I think Jesus already took the wheel. Do you really want him to take the wheel again?
You picked a good one.
Yeah, no kidding. And just, I hope I have the chance to see you guys again. I really do hope for that.
I would like to be able to see you or give you a hug or talk to you face to face.
Yeah, I keep telling God that, you know, what I want more than anything now is just to see my parents again, and that, you know, they need me around and I need them, and I want a chance to give you guys a hug and a kiss and tell you how much I love you and I've missed you.
Okay, baby, we know that. And you know how we feel, so.
Yeah, just keep praying for me. Pray for me to be delivered.
I do. We pray for you every week in church. We're going to a New Day Christian church and enjoying it. It's a lot like Saddleback in many, kind of a smaller version of Saddleback.
Very knitting.
But it's the preachers are good. The preachers are good. The music is good.
Well, I'm glad you guys found a place that you like.
Uh-huh.
You know, no matter what, you know, I don't want you guys to worry about me too much.
I don't think you can.
It's going to be hard to do.
You can't make that happen.
I know. I just want you
You
to
can't be parents and not worry.
I just want you to know that I'm at peace and that I have this weird feeling like everything's just going to be okay. Can't really explain it.
Okay.
I
Yes,
understand.
I tell you what, I wonder what dose they've got him on with those drugs. Because he shouldn't be feeling that everything is going to be okay. Maybe he's just in a complete state of denial. But given the information we have, I'm pretty certain that they've got him on some pretty heavy drugs right now.
But no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And if the worst comes to worst, you know, I know that I'll make my peace and I'll meet with all my loved ones on the other side.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, when I went there, I didn't see anybody. All I saw was poodles.
Well,
But
out of those
my surgeon said I wasn't all the way through the door, but I was just hovering, and he said, God talks to you and things you understand. He said, you understand poodles.
Oh, that's true. But you do have more than your fair share of those waiting for you on the other side.
Poodles and horses, yep, cats.
Poodles and horses and
people,
shells.
hopefully.
Yeah. A lot of people, yeah. Grandpa Joe, Uncle Joey, Uncle Woody, Grandpa Sid, Grandma Kay. A lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got all those people too, and some friends that I've lost, and hopefully as well.
He thinks Maddie is going to be waiting for him on the other side. F you, Stephen Stearns. Do you even have the slightest notion of what you've done? There's no way Maddie would be waiting for you on the other side. But, you know, let's get one thing straight. You're going straight down, dude. You've got some serious fixing to do in this life if you don't want to be headed straight down. And that starts with actually admitting guilt and not putting people through this trial. Actually face up to your actions Admit what you did. Stop lying. And stop acting like Maddie would be fine with what you did.
That would be good. Because I know she's there.
Yeah.
You know, I
Hey,
cried as
so
hard as I did for you, and I mean, we're talking ugly
You know,
crying.
I could almost accept her saying that she cried for Maddie, except that she's saying, I cried as hard for her as I cried for you. Why are you crying for him? He's the monster who did it to her. He doesn't deserve your tears. As far as I'm concerned, saying that you are just crapping all over Maddie's memory by essentially saying that your regrets over Stefan being incarcerated are equal to your regrets over Maddie being deceased. You should be crying a whole river of tears for that little girl. And you should be realising that you played a part in things getting to that point.
Oh, I've done some ugly crying too. Yeah.
So, I still think about it. I still think about you every night. I still pray for you every night. I still cry for you. I want you to know that.
And
minute.
within seconds, Maddie is forgotten. I still cry about it. I still cry about you every night. She's not talking about her still crying for Maddie. No, she's dismissed that now. Maddie's not important to her. She's crying over Stefan. Every night, apparently. Spare a thought for Maddie. She's the one who deserves your tears, you evil, evil woman.
Wait a minute. Well,
I guess we'll say good night.
yeah.
I say hopefully sweet dreams, no nightmares.
I have been having lots of dreams. I haven't had nightmares, but they've been strange dreams. I've seen a lot of faces of the people that I've worked with, the people that I've had as friends, and you guys too. And a lot of them have been weird, like movie plots.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's weird, but one person I haven't seen in my dreams has been, well, actually I've seen a couple times, but I haven't seen for some reason.
Yeah, she's probably still getting oriented.
Maybe, but hope I get to see her on the other side and she'll say, hey Smelly, what took you so long?
Okay.
But I love you guys and I'll talk to you within the next couple of days, okay?
Okay, I love you too, darling.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Seth.
Good.
Bye.
Thank you for using IC.
How revealing is that? Him saying that he's not having any nightmares. He's showing then and there that he's got no remorse. Either he's just in complete denial over what he did and believes that none of it's his fault, or he just doesn't care. But then to turn around and say, well, I'm not seeing her in my dreams. Well, that's damn good that you're not seeing her in your dreams. You don't deserve to see her in your dreams. And you certainly won't be seeing her when you are done with this life. You can be pretty certain that you will never see her again. And you guaranteed that. Now that brings us to the end of these 3 calls. Thankfully they weren't nearly as traumatic as the ones from 1st of June. I think that was a really long video. And if you've listened to it, you know that I got really, really riled up. There were definitely things said in this video that made me quite angry. And I'm so over all this religious stuff because it's just utterly delusional. Completely and utterly delusional. And the fact that his mother is encouraging it makes it so much worse. I mean, what planet are these people from? I really have no idea. So, on that note, I'm going to finish it there. Thanks for listening. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, help me to get my channel out there and seen by more people, get more subscribers, all that good stuff. Please hit the like button and please leave a comment below. So, thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.